Cyber Reapers. Hello, Cyber Reapers. While I'm preparing our tea, let me just talk real quick about my book that is coming out in July. It's a young adult science fiction thriller, and because this is one of my social media outlets, I just wanted to say that ARC readers are wanted for it, so if you want to sign up for that, the links are down below. And also pre-orders are open, and yeah, that's all I kind of had to say about that because I really want to talk about another book, one that is not mine. And so, yeah. Alright, let's get to it, huh? So, today is exciting for a few different reasons. For one, I am preparing you tea for this video, so I'm also getting to enjoy tea as well. So, the reason for this is because it's rather on theme. And yeah, so let me introduce the book. It's a book I got recently from an indie bookstore, which, by the way, the indie bookstore, if you happen to be in the west side of Houston, kind of downtown-ish area anytime soon, I recommend checking out Murder by the Book, which is a indie bookstore downtown. So if you're in Houston, Texas, and you're looking around for indie bookstores, it's one of them. So, and it's where I happened to find this book today that I'm going to be talking about. And look at the beautiful edges and everything, and it matches the beautiful cover. So, A Tempest of Tea. Lovely title, isn't it? By Hafsah Faizal. So, I'm excited about this one. It is different than I expected. So, yeah, let's see. Where do I start? Well, first off, how's your tea? I got you some caffeine-free tea since, well, just you might be planning on going to sleep sometime soon. So, I got you some cinnamon tea, and I have some rose tea. Mine is a little darker in coloration than yours, and but both are without milk and without sugar, so you get to taste the natural I almost said scents. That's not it. You get to smell the natural scents, of course, but you get to taste the wonderful flavor really to the fullest. I was a little surprised. I'm not sure why, but I was a little surprised that the rose tea ended up being darker than the cinnamon. I guess I didn't really think about it too hard, but if you get cinnamon powder or ground cinnamon, I guess it does turn out to be a little lighter than if you have rose with, I think there's a little bit of pomegranate in my tea, so it became a little darker. But I steeped them for a few minutes, and yeah, so hopefully it's good. It's been a decent amount of time, so I'm hoping that they're good to drink now. So you should be able to drink yours if you'd like. And let's see, here's mine right here. It's the back of the cat head. Here, maybe I'll turn them around so you can see the front. I'm trying to do it very slowly since, well, I am sitting in bed and this is hot tea, so, or at least it's fairly warm. But yeah, that's why I'm taking my time, so just bear with me. I almost spilled it getting it on the bed, by the way. The things I do. Yeah, look at that. And this cat mug was a gift to me, I believe on my birthday, actually, way back in high school. So, oh wow, that's been a few years, huh? But yeah, back in high school, one of my friends got it for me, and I really appreciate it because it's very cute, and it's also one of my larger size mugs, so I can fit a little more tea into it than some of my other mugs. Yeah, and the bunny mug that you have is kind of similar. It was a gift. I'm trying to remember. I think my dad brought it back from a trip to another city. I'm trying to remember which one, if it was, maybe it was Washington, D.C. I southeast side of America. So, but yeah, he brought that back as a gift for me, and it has the cute little lid to keep your tea warm for a while. So, but yeah, do you want to clink mugs? Here you go. Clink. Alright. It's a good temperature right now. It's plenty warm, so it's still kind of steaming up my glasses if I put it a little too close. But it's also nice to just drink right now without it burning your tongue, so, you know, the perfect temperature. Alright. Yeah. I really appreciate the herbal teas, and what tea isn't herbal? I mean, I appreciate tea without like milk or sugar in it. And I mean, if you want to put milk or sugar in your tea, that's perfectly fine too. I think I think in high school, there was about a period of time when I got to know some friends, and I think they just had a bit of an influence on me in my tea styles, because it was about in high school when I started really getting into tea. And so I have like two ends of the spectrum that I'm very much in, or maybe I should say I have specific orders. Generally, when I make tea at home, I don't put sugar or milk or anything in it. If it's like the tea that seems like this kind of tea, like a tea you'd put in this mug. If it is boba tea, however, like some kind of milk tea that you'd put tapioca in, like that kind of thing, generally that I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine to have like sugar and milk in. Although I do generally request, what is it, about 50% sugar if they ask. But yeah, and I don't mean to sound snobbish with my taste. It's just my personal preference. You can drink whatever tea you want. I just got you the one of the caffeine-free kinds I had on hand, because it's nice and warm, and it's good for before you go to bed, while also having that kind of cinnamon-ness, you know, to it. So, and I mean, these are pretty simple teas in comparison to like the kinds they describe in this book that I'm about to tell you about. But definitely the main two characters are, their preference for tea is for it to be generally dark. Like, don't put a lot of sugar or milk in it, because then it like dulls out the flavor. And yeah. But yeah, I think if you're getting into this book, by the way, I think it's interesting that it has such a focus on tea, because I think there's something about the feel, especially of the first maybe half or so of the book, where it really is kind of like, if I were to describe the plot of the book, or the I guess the feel, the pacing, it almost does feel like the process of making tea. And I think that is, I'm not sure if that's intentional, but it's super creative. Just how it feels, because it feels like the first portion of it is like the steeping of the tea, like the preparation. It's really getting, I don't know, you boiling the water, getting all the action and the characters and stuff to like get to a boiling point, and then pouring the tea and letting it steep for a while, of it just kind of, I don't know, having this sort of tone for a bit, and then just when you taste the tea, and then it's just this bursting of flavor. That's like the second half of the book, is like the bursting with flavor part. So it's and you can't have the bursting with flavor part without the steeping part. So it's like all of the stuff leading up to the boiling flavor is very super important, and I completely get why the pacing is the way it is. And I will be honest, it's not something I'm used to as much. I am used to like the pacing being a lot like bam 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 at the beginning. But this book was very much a build, and it was executed wonderfully, I think. So that's just my upfront feelings on like how the book feels. So yeah, I think that's like a really cool selling point in a way of describing the book. I haven't seen it described as this. Is my own personal feelings on it. Maybe somebody else has already pointed it out, but it really does feel like the book is tea in a way. Yeah, I guess in a way. I don't know how to better describe it, I guess. I think it's apparent, though, if you read it. You can kind of tell what parts I'm referring to. Yeah, so. And the fact that, like, everything is important, I love that so much. Yeah, just the more that you pay attention throughout the entire book, the more fun the ending gets. And I'm not saying you have to, I'm not saying I'm not saying you have to work hard to pay attention, because it is, I think, pretty much everything that you need to know for the ending, I think is like you catch on, you know? Because I think it's each of the important things are pointed out enough to where by the time you get to the ending, you realize, oh, okay, this was important. Oh, this was important. Oh, this was important. And it's just really neat to see everything come together, because there were so many reveals at the end. And I think a lot of the time I was just hanging on, not really sure where the book was going. And I loved it, because it was very much an adventure of, at the end, of going, okay, some of these things we're gonna have to figure out. Like, say there's this anonymous character, so I'm going, okay, well, this anonymous character is probably going to be revealed as somebody we know, right? So that's a reveal that I can kind of see coming as something that's going to happen, but I didn't know who it was going to be, and I did get surprised by that. And then the other reveals I didn't necessarily see coming, because I didn't realize that something was going to come back around when it did. It was really neat how it did. And I think it has kind of a feel of almost a mystery novel in that sense, even though it's not really a mystery. It just has a lot of reveals, and everything comes together in such a strong way. So that was done really well, because there were more reveals than I thought there would be, to be honest. And I'm usually like used to going, okay, I can generally feel about how many reveals there are going to be. Nope, this book surprised me, and I loved it. So, yeah. Alright, what else on the general vibes before I go into the premise? Actually, I mentioned that it's not a mystery, so how about I just say what it is? Personally, I'm bad at telling genres if I'm not used to them, so this one was kind of a new one for me. From what I looked up, it's described as a fantasy and a historical fiction, blended with paranormal, right? So the setting is kind of this, like the culture and the technology and everything is reflective of it taking place in the past. So it's a world that is very much close to our own, in the sense of like how people interact with each other, and the white people are very much, I think, what are they called? What are they called in this book? You can tell they're white people who are going around colonizing. But yeah, that's still very much happening, and I think the book has a map too. Now that I think about it, of the different places. But as far as I can tell, the places are fantasy, or the places are like in a different fantasy world, right? But the technology and the like, they use gas lamps. It's and no cell phones. Like, it's got the feel of being set in the past while blending like paranormal as part of a normal thing in the society, or at least when I say normal, vampires definitely exist and are acknowledged as existing, even though they do kind of generally socially try not to be known as vampires. And yeah, the society dynamics are very, very interesting, especially since we mostly follow characters who are people of color. And like I mentioned, white people are still going around colonizing in this universe, or in this time period of this world. And so the white people are very privileged in comparison to the people of color in this society, where I'm trying to remember what the place is called where this takes place. Hold on, let me sit down my tea so I can see the map, because it starts with an E, the place where they are at, and it's got a monarchy with, you know, a tyrant at the head. Let me see here. Okay. Atenia, I believe is what it's called. Okay. Oh wow, it's actually fairly small too in comparison to the other places. Although where the main character is from, she's from, I hope I'm saying this right, Salem, which is a little bit smaller of an island a ways away. Let me see if I can show you the map. Because yeah, look at this. Look at this interior here. It's so cool. Oh, I just realized this is a main map of, like, or this whole page is the map of like the streets that they're at, and then this circle map up here is kind of where the different countries are at. So yeah, Atenia up here, that's where the story takes place, and then our main character, she's from here, the Salem place, and yeah, again, story takes place here. But yeah, and our main character, that's Arthi. Arthi is our main character. Jin. Arthi and Jin are the first two characters you're introduced to, and then Flick is another character who comes in. Yeah. I'm bad with names, so I'm trying to make sure I keep these in the forefront so that I can talk about the characters, you know? But yeah, this is Arthi, and she's really, really cool. She came from the other place, Salem, as a little girl, and she had to do a lot to survive, so she's been through a lot, and she has a lot of grit, a lot of, oh, my cat's leaving the room, so it might be loud. Sorry, hold on. Alright, sorry, where was I? Okay, so, Arthi, talking about Arthi. Arthi, as a young girl, had to grow up very quickly. She's she's notorious around the streets where she has her tea house, which in the daytime it's a tea house for people, and at night it is how's it described? It's a place for vampires to buy blood, essentially, at night. And, it's a little bit kind of illegal to do that, and she's definitely done quite a bit of kind of shady stuff, primarily to just make sure she keeps staying ahead of everybody else, because she's already kind of, she had to fight for what she has. So, that tea house means a lot to her. And so she deals in secrets a lot of times, trying to stay ahead of everybody and to just learn as much as she can, get as much dirt as she can on other people, so that she can make deals a lot of the times, and in order to get what she wants and to stay afloat. And she runs a good business, and she does it a lot with help from her crew. And one of those crew members is somebody who she considers her brother, and his name is Jin. And he met Arthi when they were both young, and Jin grew up as part of this wealthy household, with, like, his parents were scientists, but then one day he comes home and his house is burning down, and he can't find his parents, and he tries to find them in the fire, but Arthi drags him out, saving him from the fumes and smoke and everything. And so Jin now has a fear of fire, but he found his new family that day, Arthi. So the two of them together since had been, like, just essentially fighting really hard to get anywhere in station, and they finally got their tea house, and they also got a decent amount of people to help out with keeping it afloat. And yeah, they're both pretty fierce. They are ready to defend themselves at any moment. They're generally distrusting of other people. They very much appreciate loyalty, but and they're very loyal to each other, but they also keep having contingency plans set for essentially assuming the worst out of other people. And so, as a result, they have a little bit of a harder time connecting to other people. And yeah, so that is just setting up kind of our main two characters there that we start with, and just who they are a little bit. Now let's set up the city just a little bit as well, because I mentioned vampires, and also I mentioned a monarch, and I mentioned the tea house, and just stuff like that, because it all blends together to create this sort of melancholic, sort of gloomy, in a wonderful way, city that they're in. Or the whole environment is just so very, the way it's described, the descriptions are so, I don't know, can you figure out how this hand gesture means for words? Because it's great. It has this sort of overcast gray sky, with gas lamps lining the stone sidewalks and the brick buildings kind of environment, where shady things happen and secrets are everywhere, but people are always finding ways to dig up dirt on other people, and it's gritty, but also there's like some aristocracy thrown in there, so there's like this clash of what it means to be ladylike versus what it means to be a woman and get things done in a world where other people don't approve of you. There's a lot of just a wonderful gritty mix. I keep using that word, but I really associate that with this atmosphere that the setting really evokes from me, at least, or for me. So yeah, don't forget to drink your tea, by the way. Feel free to keep sipping on it while I talk. I know I blab a lot, so yeah. Does the cinnamon taste good? Excellent. Yeah, I really like the aroma from the rose, and I didn't know until I read the package just today that there's a little bit of pomegranate in it as well. So I really like pomegranate. It always takes so long though to cut a pomegranate and to peel all the seeds out. I don't know if you've done it before, but it takes a long time, and it's also very messy because it's got a lot of the juice in it just likes to go everywhere. So, but it's fun though when I have like an hour or two to spare, and just I don't mind getting my hands messy for a little bit. Yeah, but it's really tasty though, so that's why I keep coming back to it. And I think there really is a feeling of like having spent so long peeling the pomegranate makes the fruit taste so much better than, say, if you just bought it already peeled. That's not to say it doesn't taste good in and of itself, but like I think there is a certain amount of, when you put in labor and effort, it tastes even better. And I think it's funny I bring up that feeling because I do kind of get that feeling from this book of like the characters I think would vibe with that kind of feeling of like, yes, when you put effort into getting something to work, it just seems all the more sweeter whenever it works, you know? So, yeah, and I think now I'll go ahead and introduce the actual like premise part, and that brings in other characters as well, and I think I'll describe them maybe a little bit minimally just because, well, to be honest, I'll probably forget their names, but I do remember Flick, and we'll get to her in a little bit because she has the perspective kind of follows, or each chapter follows the perspective, sort of, not first person point of view, but third person kind of follows Arthi, Origin, or Flick. So, and we'll get to Flick in a bit because I think I gotta introduce the premise a little more before I actually get to her role in this. So, alright, so you know there's a tea house, and you know there's vampires, and you know there's a monarch and stuff. So, yes, this all fits together for the plot. So, okay, where do I start? So Arthi and Jin get word from their landlord that the monarch is going to shut down the tea house. So yeah, the monarch is called the Ram, by the way. Each monarch has like a animal that signifies who they are, kind of a thing, and they wear a mask so you don't ever see them fully as they are, or fully who they are. And usually you don't even see them out and about, so they are an anonymous figure who primarily, like, they'll get the work done via ordering people around to do it, including like their guards. So the Ram, the monarch, Arthie and Jin don't very much like that, and they want to figure out a way to stop the shutting down of the tea house. But they don't know what to do about it. So in comes, remember I mentioned that the monarch orders around guards to get their work done. So one of the highest guards, he goes and meets with Artie because they have something in common of, or he sees that he needs Arthie's way of getting around and getting things done in order to accomplish this task, essentially this heist that he needs done. And he says, well, what's in it for you? You can possibly use this to keep your tea house. So you can use this blackmail thing that I want to get from this heist that I want to do. You can use that against the monarch and keep your tea house. So let me go ahead and find the name for this guard, because I don't remember. I think it starts with an L. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Laith is his name. Okay. Yeah. Told you it started with an L. Alright. So Laith is the head guard that is coming to Arthie to say, like, hey, let's do a heist together to get this blackmail thing, or proof of this thing that we can use to blackmail the monarch. And Arthie is going, don't you work for the monarch? What are you doing here? Why do you think I would trust you? And, well, Laith convinces her that at least, like, she can trust that he does actually want to get this to happen. And Arthie's internally thinking, well, alright, no worries, I guess I can just backstab him later if all doesn't go well. So that's how they start out. But it rejuvenates Arthie a little bit, because she's like, hey Jin, we're gonna do a heist, and we're gonna get our tea house to stay, and the monarch can't do anything about it. And so Arthie's like, hey Jin, okay, so let's get a team together in order to do this heist, right? Let's get a team together and let's get this done. So one of the team members they need, oh gosh, I should say more about the heist, shouldn't I? Okay. So vampires are in society, and Arthie and Jin are well familiar with vampires and the kind of underground sort of society that they have. And the vampires kind of have this very fancy sort of gathering place, and it's kind of like it's an invite-only kind of club place for vampires, and that is called the Ethereum. It's called the Ethereum. Sorry, again, I'm bad with names, so I have to check the things. I'm used to reading them. But yeah, the Ethereum is this special, like, club place for vampires of distinguished nature, I guess. Kind of aristocratic vampires, essentially. So, yeah, that's where they are. And the head guard for the monarch says that the piece of proof, specifically a ledger, that they're looking for in order to blackmail the monarch is being held in the Ethereum. The place where the Ethereum, the place where that vampire club kind of meets. And the Ethereum is having a big giant event in a couple of weeks. So Arthie is thinking, alright, great, we'll get in during that event so that we'll be less conspicuous, and we'll get the ledger and get out. In order to get into the Ethereum, though, you have to be invited, or specifically you have to have these token things that are specific, that have specific numbers on them that are, difficult to forge. And so they figure, alright, Arthie figures, alright, we need somebody who can do forgery really, really well. And so that's where Flick comes in. I mentioned her earlier. She is a member of she's kind of aristocratic, and she's used to growing up very sheltered, but in the past few years, she's felt more free than ever because she's kind of been branching out and doing crime. Specifically, she's been forging various things for people and getting paid for it, and been doing really well for herself, actually, because she is really, really good at her job. Thing is, though, she got caught for a fairly big job, just because the other guy the guy she made the forgery for got drunk and blabbed about it. So she has been under scrutiny by her famous mom, or her mom who owns a really successful business, and so Flick has been kind of sort of under house arrest-ish, or grounded, up until Arthie and Jin basically get her out and say, hey, we got a job for you. And so she's another member of their crew that they get together to do this heist with, and they also go find a vampire who they sort of have dirt on, and who is sort of flirty with Arthie, except she tries very, very hard to not let it show that it gets to her a little bit. But yeah, so they go get Mateo, who is a vampire, and he's also an artist, or a relatively well-known or successful artist. But he's also sort of a member. Well, he knows the Ethereum pretty well, so he's helpful for information. And then there's Laith, who is the guard, the monarch guard, and he's helpful for brute work, really, I think, if I remember right. That's kind of what he does. And so yeah, a solid group of 5, and they're like, alright, let's do this, let's go. Let's break into the Ethereum and get this ledger so that we can have dirt on the monarch. And so there's your premise. Yeah, and so they spend a while preparing for it, and of course there's the heist, and then yeah, I guess you have to read the rest to figure out what happens, because it's very quite exciting. There's a lot of prep work, and it's really neat seeing all the steps that they go through to meticulously set this up over the course of the next 2 weeks. And yeah, they work really hard, and they encounter a lot of shenanigans and troubles, and there are lots of reveals of secrets and dirt and things secrets they've been keeping from each other, and just crazy stuff. Even secrets that the main characters have been keeping from the audience as well, which is impressive, because I think, if I remember right, as I read some of the reveals, I was going back through my head and going, oh, that makes sense now in a different context. And I was going through my head of going, oh, that's when this character figured that out. That's why they reacted like that, even though I thought they reacted like that for a different reason. So it fills in some of the blanks, and it really seeps. It just kind of seeped through all my memories of the book to where I'm going, I look forward to rereading this, I really do. And I think I should reread it before the sequel comes out, because I think September of this year, 2025, that's when the second book, and I believe they say it's a duology, so second book of the 2 comes out then, which I'm really looking forward to, because I can't believe they ended it on a I'm not sure if I'd call it a cliffhanger, but it's definitely it has me hyped. The ending has me hyped. And I'm gonna be honest, I had to look up the end ending, after I read it, I was like going, wait, is this what I think it is that just happened? And so I looked it up, and for confirmation, I was like, oh. So, yeah, my mind just kind of, I just, all the pieces fit together, and the very last page even had things that were like puzzle pieces that were just sliding back into place. And look, oh, look at that, a big puzzle that is now completed, and I did not expect it to look like that, but it did, and it's wonderful, and I love it. So that's that. Yeah, I can't believe the ending. I can't believe that's one of the few books where I had to actually look up like a Tempest of Tea and then ending, or what happened at the end or something, and then it explained it to me so that my tired, dumb little brain could figure out, yes, it is exactly what I thought it was that just happened. So that was really fun. Yeah. So I think even the reveals are, in of itself, I think, part of the wonderfulness that would convince me to read this book. Part of the problem is I can't tell you the reveals, and they have, even if I did tell you the spoilery reveals, they would have no impact unless you actually read the whole book and saw all of the little hints that were dropped throughout. But yeah, so yeah, and the ending is also kind of, it's I wouldn't call it sad because it's not. I think it's got a few parts that are like emotionally devastating, if that makes sense. It's not sad, it's not a sad ending, but it's definitely one that's like, oh my gosh. So there's that. And I'm very much looking forward to the sequel. So, yeah. Yeah. Also, I still can't get over how well they did the sprayed edges. I don't think sprayed edges are that big of a deal, but it just complements it so well with the cover. Like, they did a good job matching it. So, yeah. Also, kudos to the cover designer, because I love all the, the indications of the city in the background and stuff, with the tea and the blood, and it's great. So, yeah. I don't even remember. I think I found this book on social media somewhere, but I don't actually remember where I saw it. I just know that I recognized the cover, so when I went in store, or when I saw it in person, I was going, oh, I know that cover. I have a positive feeling about it. Let me get it. So in case you ever wonder if your marketing is too much for anybody who's like writing or selling their own book or promoting your own book, promotion helps, because people like me will look and see your cover, and if I have positive association with it, or enough positive association with it, and then I go and I see it out of context, then I'll go, hey, I have a positive association with this book, maybe I'll get it. So marketing works. I hate to admit it because I hear a lot of people don't like marketing their book all the time, but marketing works. So there's that. Yeah, again, I don't remember where I saw this, but I just know that I did. So yeah, and so I was pretty excited when I saw it in person, because usually I won't get a book. I won't usually buy a book in person, unless I have seen it beforehand, or unless maybe the author's there or it's signed or something like that. It has to have some kind of personal touch to me generally. So yeah, and that was the same with the other. I went to a couple of other indie bookstores the same day I got this book, and the other two books were also books I saw online, with like positive something, related to them. So yeah, marketing works. And I'm also partially telling myself that because I'm in the stages of marketing my own book, so there's that. But yeah, I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I want to describe about this. Because I just read this today, and I was so excited that I just wanted to get to talking about it that I actually haven't written the review for it yet. Usually I'll write the Goodreads review and then I'll condense it to a few specific points for the Instagram and Threads review. And also, if I read it on the Kindle app, then I'll review it on Amazon as well with the Goodreads review. And I'll usually do that before doing the, one of these videos, because usually I'll want like a list of like talking points to make sure I don't forget anything, and like sometimes I'll kind of glance at it. But this time I didn't have that because, again, I was super excited to just start talking about this, so it's a little bit out of the blue for me to do this, to just start talking about the book instead of writing down my thoughts first. But yeah, this one really surprised me in a very pleasant way, because as I was reading it at the beginning, I was like going, this is a different pace than I expected, but I found that I really enjoyed it because it felt like I was taking my time and savoring the learning about the characters and learning about the world and just kind of breathing in the atmosphere of it. It was so good. Like, I'm not kidding when I say that I kind of think of the pacing as like making tea. It really did feel like it. So it's so good. And I'm gonna put the book down so I can actually drink some more tea a little bit. Also, I think I mentioned that the characters are... Hold on. I hope my sipping isn't too loud. Yeah, make sure to hydrate. Drink your tea too. Yeah, the bunny mug is super cute, huh? I like the kitty mug too. They're both good. Oh wow, it's getting kind of chilly, huh? The tea, I mean. Yeah. I like tea both when it's warm and after a while of it being chilled off too, So, yeah. What was I saying? The characters. Something about the characters. Just the characters are predominantly people of color, by the way, so if you're looking for a book where the characters featured are very much, POC, then this book is definitely that. And what else? There's definitely a lot of... They have varying socioeconomic status as well, the characters do. And... Oh, right. Okay. And also, like, different... There's different aspects of culture, and I'm trying to think, at least two of the characters of like the main five, if I remember right, immigrated from one of the other, I think they're countries. I don't remember if they were explicitly stated as countries or like states or something else. But yeah. And the story very much doesn't hold back on describing just how difficult it is when there's one like group of with people, or say groups of people that are privileged, and then you're just not. You're part of the not privileged group, and it's, or one of the not privileged groups, and there are different levels, of course, of different groups, and with the mix of like vampires in there as well, with people who were born there, and also people who are, like, say, orphans, or immigrants, or social outcasts in one way or another. It's got a lot to say on privilege and colonialism and power and what makes someone powerful. And trust and loyalty. There's loyalty. Sorry. It's, yeah, also royalty. I'll stop, I'm sorry. So, there's a lot that the book covers. Thematically and plot-wise and character-wise. I think also it's a very character-driven story, so you get to know a lot about the main three, especially, and the main three, Arthi, Jin, and Flick. So you really get to know a lot about them, and just like the way that there's the main plot of what is currently happening, and then there's also kind of these flashbacks, where it's woven in just aspects of them growing up, or them meeting each other, or what they experienced on their own, just all of it weaving together with the overall heist plot. So it really does a deep dive on the characters, and I really enjoyed that, getting to know how they got where they are now, especially because they are, like, the characters are very, especially Arthi and Jin, are very tough and very, they're very witty, and they don't wear their emotions on their sleeve unless it's something that outwardly makes them appear strong in the kind of underworld they work in, right? Or the criminal sort of underground that they work in. Meanwhile, Flick is kind of learning who she wants to be and how to balance the life that she's already lived up till now and what she's been used to, with her aristocratic life. She's learning to balance the aspects of that she maybe wants to kind of retain in her personality with the aspects she is starting to learn. Like, over time, she starts hearing, like, Arthi's voice in her head, when she's, like, interacting with other people who are maybe not trustworthy. And so, like, the little Arthi voice in her head kind of reminds her to watch out for certain things, certain mannerisms, or to try to, dig deeper beneath the surface of, like, the other person's possible intentions. And so, Flick kind of starts becoming more just better at understanding the darker sides of people, I guess, and becoming stronger at just, I guess, stronger with interacting with people who are not as good as she wants them to be, I guess, or as nice or as trustworthy as she wants them to be. So, there's character growth on everyone's end, I think. With Flick, it's, again, like I said, her balance of, like, figuring out who she wants to be with what she already knew in the past, and kind of finding this new family with Arthi and Jin, and figuring out aspects of, like, their toughness that she wants to learn. And then with Jin, it's I don't want to give too many spoilers, so I'm gonna say overcoming some of his fears while I think, actually, yeah, I'd say overall it's overcoming his fear, or fears, I should say. I think that would probably be the biggest character growth aspect that I've seen, or that I would note from him, from what I remember. And then Arthi, I think it's balancing her intuitiveness about other people, as in, like, she automatically distrusts other people and assumes the worst from people. It's balancing that, because sometimes her sense is correct, but balancing that with also learning when to not take everything on by herself. I think that's maybe where her that and learning to just share more of herself. For her, I think, yeah, just not keeping everything bottled in is a big part of her character growth. Learning to rely on others a little bit more, even though her intuitive sense about other people is also sometimes correct, so she has to be careful not to trust too much, but also the people that she does trust and has trusted for several years, that kind of thing. The people that she feels are loyal, she has to learn to kind of rely on them a little bit more, and to trust them to know more about her. I think that's what I would say for her character growth. So the edge of this cup is sometimes a little difficult to drink from, because it's not the easiest rim to drink from, because sometimes tea wants to go over the edge, and I'm like, no, stop that. So I have to, like, just be careful not to let it spill. I'm almost done with my cup. So it's good I'm almost done with my tea, because I think I'm actually almost done describing the book as well. How's your tea going? Good. Is it helping you feel any more tired? I know cinnamon isn't exactly the most, or I don't think cinnamon's one of the ones that people tend to think of with tiredness, but it is still decaf. There's no caffeine in it, and it's, I don't know, I think it's relaxing. So yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm glad it is. I'm glad it feels nice, at least. Or tastes nice, I should say. Yeah. I'll have to get cinnamon next time. I just used the last of the rose, so I don't even remember where I got that tea from. It was part of a big pack of different kinds of tea, and I think hold on. I got it from, like, I think it was from a British goods store. So, where there's, like, a bunch of, like, snacks, primarily. I think snacks and some drinks, and I think there were maybe some, like, tea sets in there, too, in this store that I do not remember where this store was located. I really don't. I think I went there with a friend, though. Yeah, one of my close friends. I think we went there, but I really don't remember this place was called, or even like why we were there. We were probably going, it was probably like in a cluster of like a bunch of different shops, and that was probably why we were there. But yeah, I saw this big tea set though, that was like a foot long of just a bunch of different kinds of tea with a bunch of different tea packets in each one. And I was going, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Especially because at the time I was part of a, this might sound a little silly, but in high school I was part of, well, I helped found a club that really, I don't think the club continued after our year, or maybe it did 1 year, but yeah, senior year of high school, my friends and I found the Best of British Club, which you shorten it's the BBC, and it was just this goofy little high school club where we basically met. It was an excuse for us to meet up and essentially just have tea and snacks, and to wear like ceremonial robes that, like, one of my friends had commissioned special for us. It was really neat. I still have my robe, and also the Queen's robes, which is like, my friend would know it better, but it's like a 10 or somewhere between 8 to 12 feet long of this like blue velvet with silver embroidery. It's beautiful. It's in my room right now in a box. Just because I asked if I could borrow it for a video, and yeah, it's here, and it's insanely beautiful. But that was for our teacher to wear, the teacher who was sponsoring our club, and so we got so into it. We wanted to have snacks and just have a goofy little ceremony thing that was fun. We took pictures, and it was just kind of an excuse for us to meet up and drink tea, and yeah, so I was the vice president. Don't ask me if I know much of anything about British culture. Our secretary does, or did. He knew a lot. He was the one who commissioned the robes. And our president kinda did. He kinda knew some stuff. And the president was my best friend. Like, really, all of the council members I was really close with. I don't know how we ended up. We just essentially went, you know what, let's just do this. Let's all get together, the Latin and choir folks, and we were all seniors, and we were just like, you know what, yeah, let's do it. It sounds fun. So we made this little club where we drank tea and stuff. So yeah, very much not the vibe of this book, but that's just what this reminds me of. So I hope this vibe kind of resonates with you too, of just sitting with a friend and having tea, because I miss those times. Yeah. Unfortunately, our senior year got cut short. It was spring 2020, so we didn't get to really celebrate the whole year. And we very much dived into adulthood with, well, the world was taken by storm, so lots of dark things the past several years, huh? I guess it's nothing new, but yeah. Anyhow, though, I'm gonna drink the last bit of tea. Oh, there's still a little more. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Just our appreciation for the cup one more time. Well, thank you so much for listening. You are a wonderful listener, and I hope you enjoyed your tea. I definitely enjoyed mine. And I hope you enjoyed listening to this let's talk about A Tempest of Tea by Hafsah Faizal. So, have a wonderful day, night, whenever, wherever you are, and I hope you just do whatever you feel you need to do or want to do next, and have fun doing it. So, if that's sleep or work or whatever, I hope you get where you need to go, and have a good time.